Hey guys, welcome back to Steve Basinger Fishing. I just want to do a real quick video with you guys of something I've never done before, and that is a reel review. And really just kind of tackle reviews in general. It's something I've never really done before. So, we're going to dive into this one. But before we do, I want you to know this video, these reels, all this stuff, I am not affiliated with this company. This is not a sponsored video. I don't get anything for this. I'm just doing this review because I found some reels, a company at least, that I've been very impressed with their product, and I thought maybe you guys could use that too. So, getting into it, the reels, the company that I've really liked has been Lose Reels. They're not a secret. A lot of people know about them, and by a lot of people I mean like everybody unless you live under a rock. But it's a company that stands behind their product. If you have a problem with them, first off, their warranty process is real easy to deal with. I've only had to do that once, thankfully. But there was like no questions asked. There was no back and forth on, well, this is covered and that's not covered. They helped me out. But the first reel that we'll get into is this one. This is a Lose Speed Spool LFS. This particular model is a 7.5 to 1, and all my reels are right-handed. Not like that really matters for the review, but I mean, hey, I'm right-handed now, you know. Fun facts. I use the 7.5 to 1 mostly when I'm either shallow cranking like a square bill or other crankbaits that go like 6 feet or less. That's about the only time I like a faster reel for crankbaits. A rare occasion I'll do it with a spinner bait, and then with baits that I drag, right? So like a jig, a Texas rig, a Carolina rig, things that go on the bottom for the most part. Ooh, and I like to use it for a swing head too. But the reason I like it for those is those fish will hit and you will typically have a lot of slack in your line. Well, that's where that 7.5 to 1 comes in. You can take up a lot of slack and you can jam that hook set. Now, I tell you all that because those are facts you probably already knew. When you jam that hook set, that over time wreaks some havoc on reels. What that does, and when I am using reels, when I'm using those sorts of techniques, I actually tighten my drag all the way down because I don't want the spool to slip. I don't want the drag to slip at all when I set the hook. I want maximum hook set power. Well, when you do that, the side effect of that is something somewhere from the fish to the line, the rod, all the way to the reel, something has to give. Well, this spool, you know, it'll jerk backwards. Over time, you tend to start to tear gears and just components inside the reel. Well, this reel, which I'll be honest, I only got it over like around Christmas, I think is when I bought this. I've put it through the ringer. I'm very rough on my equipment, and I've set a lot of hooks with this thing, and it hasn't made any funny noises on me yet, right? If you've had any reels that were not really all that great of quality, you'll know they start to tear up on you pretty easy. They start to make, well, for lack of a better term, they start to turn into duck calls. You'll cast it out there and go, wah! Duck calls, right? That's my best duck call. This one hasn't done that. She still sounds just like she did when I got her out of the box. And you know what? This reel's $100. I know $100 is a lot of money, but as far as fishing reels go, that's pretty cheap. For something for $100 that holds up at least as good. You know what? I bought $200 reels from another company, a company I did used to be affiliated with. I'm not going to mention names, but if you guys go look back through stuff, you'll know. They had reels much more expensive than this that didn't hold up for half the time. So, would really highly recommend this reel if you're looking for a cheaper one. I do have some other models. I'm not going to go into all of them. I'm going to one more here in a bit, but I've got some other models that are more expensive by like $50 at most, and they're all just as good. I'm just as impressed with every single one of them. They're very smooth. And you know what? One other thing I wanted to say. I've had reels that over time they get real temperamental, and you know what? Some of them are like that straight out of the box. You set it up however you think you need it set up, and you make some casts and you get it dialed in, and then you go make another cast and it just big bird's nest, loses its mind. And it's like that all day. You'll make some great casts and then it will just lose it, right? You don't feel like you're doing anything different. It's kind of like golf. It just, the ball goes wherever it wants sometimes. These reels, not a single one of them have I had it do that. The only times I really have any issues casting these is if I'm casting a lure that's already very difficult to cast. Like if any of you guys ever casted the old Rogues or a fluke. A fluke is something that doesn't cast that great, right? It's light. This one has not been that like that. It's casted very well for me each and every time. So the other reel we're going to get into is this one. This is the Lew's Laser MG. This is the MCS model, and it is a 7.1 to 1. Now, the reason I chose this one, and look, it's really dirty, okay? I've actually had this one for 2 years. It's been nothing but a frog rod for me. Well, I say that. I've also used it skipping jigs as well. But it's predominantly been on this frog rod. That's almost all that I've done with it. I've only had braid on it. I haven't put anything else on it. Now braid, kind of like what I was saying with this one, when you go and jam those hook sets, eventually it starts to take its toll. Well, braid makes that even worse because there's no stretch in braid. It will pull the guts out of a reel eventually. Well, again, I've had this one for 2 years, and if you've ever fished a frog, when you set the hook on that, you're trying to cross their eyes and mess up their family tree for quite some time. This one is still cast just as good as the day I bought it. This one casts so well, and it's a $79 reel. At least at Tackle Warehouse it is. It's probably cheaper somewhere else. Not affiliated with Tackle Warehouse either, by the way. I've been so impressed with this reel that this was the first Lew's that well, in recent years, it's the first Lew's that I bought. I bought some years ago too, but in the last few years, this was the first one that I bought. And I've been so impressed that I went and bought, I think I have a total of 4 of these now. And they've all been great. For this one, you know, when I get for frog fishing, the reason I chose this reel is because it's a 7.1 to 1. I could step up in speed on this. I don't remember what ratios this particular reel comes in. It may only be this one, I'm not sure. But the 7.5 to 1 would also be great for this because, again, they're gonna eat that bait and you need to take up line real quick and get them. I don't miss a lot of fish on this. You know, it may just be my whole setup from the reel, line, frog, you know, whatever, rod. It's all, I don't miss a lot of fish, so I'm not going to change any of that. But anyways, another really good reel. Really like this thing. Really like all of them. Been very impressed with all of Lew's products so far. And hope you guys enjoyed this video.